Hello and welcome to another edition of the Watchful Citizen, a local cable access program brought to you by the Lancaster County Democratic Party. My name is Benny Shope and I'm your host today. And I'm excited to have in the studio school board member. School board, what's your official title?
Member of the Lincoln Board of Education.
Member of the Lincoln Board of Education, Barbara Baier.
Yes.
Barbara is the representative for school district number 3.
Yeah.
Barb, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. I have lots of questions about your job as a school board member, and
Sure.
I'm excited you could come and join us today.
Sure.
So let's start by talking about, you are one of the board members. How many board members are there on the Lincoln Public?
7.
7?
There's 7 of us, and I represent sub-district number 3, which is essentially northwest Lincoln, and it goes all the way down to A Street,
Okay.
and is banded in the center of the city by North 27th on the one side and 10th on the other. Then it kind of swings and narrows and then goes over and gets Capitol Beach and West O and goes up into Oregon Trail area, Arnold Heights, and Highlands and Fallbrook.
I was looking at your district on the map and trying to figure out a way to describe it. How would you describe it?
It's a pie.
I thought of kind of a wedge or maybe a slightly stretched hourglass way it kind of narrows there in the center. But 27th and A is one corner all the way to the far northwest.
Yes. Yes.
And about how many students, how many schools in that district? Do you have a general idea?
Oh, I don't know how many schools are in that district right off the top of my head. Some of them that people that constituents that I represent would attend are Park Middle School, McPhee Elementary, maybe a little bit of Prescott, over to Belmont, West Lincoln, Arnold, SCO, probably a little bit of Cooser. So Campbell, Campbell would be in there too.
That's a lot of, I think we as Lincolnites forget how many school buildings and how many students we serve. Could you give us a general idea about
how many students we have? Well, if you're looking at K through 12, it's a little more than 36,000. And you include the preschool, pre-K, and EdgeCare and Head Start and stuff. It's about 37,500, 800, something like that.
Yeah, wow, this is going to sound mean. I don't mean to do that, but that's more students than some of the small communities in western Nebraska.
Oh, well, it's
a small community within itself, a small city.
Oh, yeah, it's bigger than most of the cities that we have in Nebraska. We have 2 really substantial urban areas, and that's Lincoln and Omaha. But we align ourselves with other urban schools like Beatrice and Norfolk and Grand Island, North Platte, Columbus. We look at those as kind of sister districts.
I understand. So you are a board member. How long have you been on the Board of Education?
About 9 years.
9 years.
Yeah.
And do you go by terms, or do you go by
we have 4-year terms. I'm into my 3rd term, and beginning come May, my 2nd year, my 3rd term.
Excellent. I noticed when I was looking at the LPS website that each one of the board members had a title, and yours had one I did not recognize. It said ESU 18 President.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Would you explain that to me?
Sure. It's Educational Service Unit 18, and the Educational Service Units were started in 1965 by the unicameral as a way to enhance the educational experience. In most areas across the state, there is like a group of districts, often many counties together for ESU, but Lincoln and Omaha have their own ESUs because of the size that we have. And some of the things that we use the ESU for is our assessments, and we have a lot of good assessments that we do in-house that help us respond to student needs through our own data collection on their performance. And then we have technology. A lot of our computers and educational approaches that use technology come through the ESU. We have something unique to Lincoln. We have a heritage school, which is a one-room schoolhouse that's located out in Pioneers Park near the Nature Center. And I think it's 3rd or 4th grade. I always forget which grade it is. Every student in the district gets to spend a day out there with their teacher and experience an old-fashioned education. When my son went through it, they took pictures, and he did not look very happy going and using a little chalkboard and having to spell things out on chalk and everything. But he also enjoyed being out there on the prairie, because it's in the middle of a prairie. And
I did not know that.
Kids enjoy that. They have a lunch that comes in a little tin thing, and it's cool. And then we also have our educational services for the Lancaster County Youth Services system that is kind of the juvenile attention.
An alternative school.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about since you mentioned the alternative school, there's also some alternative programs. I heard someone refer to the Zoo School recently.
Yeah, Zoo School is a science-focused program, kind of science and math-focused program. It's the first of our focus programs. We call it Zoo School because it's located on the campus of the Lincoln Children's Zoo. It's very popular. It has probably about 80 to 100 students. It's for high schoolers and freshmen through senior. And they spend probably about 2/3 of their day there, and it's a smaller learning community. And it's a little bit more self-directed and more in partnership with their teachers. And we have other focus programs like the entrepreneurial focus program, the arts and humanities focus program, a information technology focus program. I think I hit, and there's International Black Laureate. But that one isn't off campus, that's within Lincoln High in an area that's to their own. Most of those focus programs, when we go and do the Career Academy, which is a partnership with the Southeast Community College to prepare our students for the real world of work.
Yes.
And help them have some experiences in interest areas they have, and also gain maybe some college credit if possible in a chosen field. So a few of those focus programs will be folded into that, and that would be information technology and the entrepreneurship one.
Yes.
But IB, Zoo School, and Arts and Humanities will stay. They will not be folded into that program.
I'm going to ask you about one of those focus programs for a second, but then I want to expand on something you said about the Career Academy.
Yeah.
I want to ask about the arts focus program. The Zoo School meets at the Lincoln Children's Zoo.
Yes.
Do these other focus groups meet at specific locations?
Yes, they do. They're off our usual campus, which creates a unique learning environment for the students. The Arts and Humanities one is in the old, I think it's the Pepsi-Cola bottling company, area of that's been remodeled for that
between
purpose.
Randolph and Jayish.
Yeah, it's close to Lincoln High.
Yeah.
And then the entrepreneurial and information technology one, I think it's on the old Gallup campus that was taken over by Southeast Community College.
68th and O out in that direction. So backing up just a bit, you mentioned these focus programs, and you mentioned the entrepreneurial and the IT program will be rolled into the Career Academy.
Yes.
Could you elaborate a little bit more on the Career Academy?
Well, the Career Academy, the first year, will probably have about 500 students, but I think it can go up in capacity to maybe a couple thousand, actually. But it's mostly focused on juniors and seniors. It has, at this point in time, I think 6 different kind of career opportunity areas, and I don't remember them all the top of my head, but obviously one is the information technology. I think another one is more ag oriented, and then there's one that's more into the construction, engineering, architectural kind of things.
And this Career Academy, and I'm sorry, I'm going to date myself a little bit, it reminds me of the vocational tech, but a little bit more modern. Yes.
Yeah, it's updated.
And I've said that before. People say, well, it's not the same thing. It's more of a contemporary.
It's more I
when I was
think
in
that
school, the vacation tech for people who didn't want to go to college and had some type of.
This is for people who would want to go to college or not. It depends. It is opportunity to gain college credit. It
Yes.
is not. The old version of that was more of a vocational track exclusively, and this is either or. And you could be in the same class, and you may be a student that's hoping to maybe just go and get ready and get your certification, get out there and work as soon as you graduate from high school.
Yes.
And then you might be in the same class, and right next to you in a seat is a person who wants to go and start earning college credit so that they can go into maybe Southeast Community College, into a transfer program, and then eventually go to a place, a post-secondary education like at the university. So you could have those same people in the same class and earning similar credits.
It sounds like that this is a way of better preparing our students to be contributing members of our community.
Absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
What it sounds like, yeah. I always read and hear in passing how industry often says that the workers aren't trained to do what they need them to do. There are plenty of jobs available, but we need more training. Would you be fair to say the Career Academy is designed to address that need?
Well, I think that yes and no. I think that it's experiment for us, and we have to see how that fleshes out. I think it's very dependent on those partnerships that we'll develop with local industry, and we have to see how those partnerships unfold to see how effective that is. I think that what we're doing is both wise, but also something new for Lincoln, Nebraska, and possibly to the United States.
Yeah,
Not completely, but somewhat. So we'll have to see how it evolves.
It's nice to be on the cutting edge.
Yes.
Lincoln, yes. I have lots of other questions, but kind of moving with the Career Academy.
Sure.
This is all part of a discussion we're having in our community now about school bonding and school taxes.
Yes.
I'd like you to elaborate a little bit more on that. In the next few weeks, we'll have to turn in our ballot for the school bond. Could you just explain to?
Well, we started over a year ago as a school board, and we had charged staff to give us a list of needs because we do an update to our 10-year facilities plan.
Okay.
And actually, we look at annually, but we did a little bit more aggressive one because our other bond is starting to wind down. That was done in 2005-06 school year. And what we discovered is we had a lot of needs that revolve around security, technology, classroom seats, all sorts of things. So then the board charged the superintendent with involving the community and reviewing those needs and helping us understand them better. And so he went and convened a superintendent's advisory committee, of which all of us board members nominated people to serve on, and there were around 90 citizens from across our community of all backgrounds and zip codes who served, and they broke out into different committees, and we as a board are so thankful all the volunteer time that they have put into this. It was headed up by Keith Prettyman, a former board member, and Connie Duncan, and the amount of volunteer time those two have put in has been absolutely tremendous. It's just incredible. But then after a process that lasted close to 6 months, they went and brought forward what they saw as the priority needs for our school district, but they didn't go and say which one was more important than the other. That was the job of the school board. So then we went through a process with that information.
Do you have any idea how many? the recommendation, Mr. Prettyman, Ms. Duncan, how many
Big.
items?
Well, it's not items, it's how big it was. It was over 300 million. And we have a window of opportunity to go, and we have some of our bonds being paid off.
Yes.
And so without increasing taxes, we can go and pursue a new bond with the help of the voters.
And that's your job as the school board.
And that's for about $153 million. And then we have, through other avenues, through depreciation and some stimulus funds from a few years ago, be able to bring that up to $163 million. It takes about $2.5 to $3 million to issue the bonds. So in the end, we would have about $160 million to deal with. So the board was charged with honing down that list that was well over $300 million to $160 million. So we went through a lot of lengthy discussions, toured the city, looked at growth areas, which are all over. It was a lot of intense work, and we came down to what we have now. We have a 10-year facilities plan. So we haven't gone and we have three different tiers of them. And the first tier, if this bond is passed, most likely would be completely done. But we set it up this way, the last bond. And if we have savings, cost savings, which we charge the staff to find all the cost savings they can through an aggressive bidding process and all those kinds of things, good interest rates, all that kind of thing. We could move down to the second tier then and do more work. And we were able to do that with the last bond.
Oh, that's great to hear. So what are the big priorities of this bond?
Well, the Career Academy is one of them that we've been talking about, but I would say that security and technology is huge. Every school in this district will be touched in some way through security and technology. Now, some of the older schools, they're in great condition, but they do not have card-only access, and anybody can walk into them at this point. Even though we have security entrance monitors, it's hard to secure those, all of it. This bond would help address that. And some of those investments are pretty large and can go and run from $350,000 to $500,000. Then all the schools have to have updates on the card access and things of that sort. And then about a year ago, we developed a technology plan. And this bond wouldn't be paying like things like tablets or laptops. It's the infrastructure actually that's in the walls and the ceilings, so that we have the strong enough Wi-Fi and stuff, so that when we are able to purchase those things, and we have a plan to do that, and we're slowly phasing that in, we can actually use the technology. Then the other things that the bond would be used for is building a elementary school somewhere in essentially southeast Lincoln, where there's a lot of strong growth, and then a middle school. But we're also looking at expanding different schools in all four quarters, including in my area of West Lincoln's elementary school and Park Middle School, adding gyms and things of that sort, looking at some air quality issues, things of that nature. But the whole community will benefit from this.
I want to go back just a tad. You know, we're just a year removed from the tragic incidents in New Jersey at the school. So this security issue it's really important to me. I want our elementary school, middle school, high school kids to be safe and feel like they're in a safe learning environment. This bond will address all those schools and make them bring a majority of them up to.
Yeah, everybody is going to have a more secure environment in some way, shape, or form. We're going to be impacting each school with security.
And the technology.
Some more than others, because there's greater needs in some areas.
Yeah, I was a little surprised at the ease at which, even parents can get into schools without checking in. Those things will all go away. You'll have
Yes.
to check in at one point.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we try to do that now.
Yes.
But because the architecture was such for a lot of our schools before this unfortunate era of gun violence, we don't have those kinds of everybody goes through the front office
Right.
situations, and we're correcting that with this bond.
Well, they were public buildings, and we wanted to make them open to the public, but now
We
we're going
still want to keep
now
that
we're going to put a little bit
feeling.
more, just a
We
little
s-
more security
yeah.
on top of that
We still want to be open to the public, but in a safe
in
manner.
a safe manner. The technology part, I understand. We're living in a. You talked about the school out of Pioneer Parks with the chalkboards.
Yes.
Contrasting that with where we are today,
Uh-huh.
I think, and it's going to keep developing. So you're preparing for that future as far as technology goes.
Absolutely.
So let's spend a couple minutes talking about. Mentioned 2 new buildings. I want to talk a little bit about the vote
Yeah,
itself.
sure.
This is a slightly different vote, and it's outside the normal primary general election schedule.
Yes.
Can you explain why they chose this?
Because we wanted to save money. We're a very aggressive board on the issue of money and going and maximizing taxpayer resources. So we weighed how that would impact us to wait until the spring election. And we would go and lose the construction season coming up in summer. And we live in Nebraska where we're limited in our construction time. And also we're schools and kids are in school, and if it's a major construction issue, we have to move those kids off site. That costs us money. We have to rent a space to put them in. It's also a space that's not conducive to learning often. We try to make it so, but it's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we had staff look at all those kinds of issues, we found that we would have a cost savings around $900,000, and that's very conservative estimate. Probably more, because you have to also think about how you're saving interest on your bond by going and getting the bond out there still when the interest rates are lower. You have to think about labor costs. The economy's starting to heat up a little bit, thank God, but it also drives up your labor costs.
Right. So it was just financially smarter to
Yes,
doing that.
yes.
And this election is going to be slightly different. It's my understanding there'll be a vote by mail.
Yes,
Oh.
this is the first time that the entire vote is by mail. I think we've been easing into that as a electorate voters by going and having that option with the absentee ballot. But this time, everybody is going to be voting by mail. So that's something new for us, and I see that you brought one.
Yes, I brought my ballot, and I wanted you to we get a shot of it on camera if we can?
Yeah, we'll make sure that we have a shot here of it. It can kind of look like one of those publishing clearinghouse things, but it's not. So kind of watch for it. You should have had it already in the mail this week. So don't let it get buried on your kids' homework or the other junk mail you can get, because this is not junk mail. So we open it up, and we see here that we have 2 pieces, and one is the ballot, and it looks really like the ballot that we use when we go in, and it has the little black squares on the side, and there's one place where you vote for or against, which you need to go and fill out. I do encourage you to look at the factual information that is shared for you on LPS's website, www.lps.org, and that's factual information only. We do not use taxpayer resources to advocate for a vote. We only share the facts. Then you will see here's the return envelope. Now wait until we pan in on that so we really see it here. There we go, there we go. And you can see it has a nice little logo for the election commissioner there, and the address. It says official ballot enclosed, and we're going to flip it over. And the most important thing, along with putting this in there and sealing it after you vote, is you need to sign this or it will not be accepted. You must sign this and fill it out and date it and everything in the way that they've told you to. Then you flip it over one more time and you'll see that you have to put a first class stamp on it right here and mail it. And you need to mail this at least, 3-4 days, if not more, before the deadline, which is February 11th. Your ballot will not be counted if it isn't in the election commissioner's office by 5 p.m. on February 11th. And so we have all our mail go to Omaha to be processed at this point. It is really critically important that you mail this early so that it can get processed up in Omaha and then come back here and be counted by our election commissioner. The other option is to take this completed envelope and the signature on it and everything and go directly to the election commissioner's office on North 46, kind of behind the Target that's over there, and put it into their slot. They have a little bin that's just for that, or to take it inside when they have their office hours open. So those are your options, and I really encourage people to participate. I do think that what's nice about mail-in is that we anticipate a greater participation rate than we would probably even in the spring. I mean, I think that it's an opportunity for everybody to weigh in on the issue.
I know when I heard they were going to do a mail-in ballot, I was a little bit afraid. And having you walk me through the steps, it's really not as hard as I thought it would be. I thought it would be much more difficult.
Yeah.
But so, deadline is February 11th?
Yes.
And it needs to be in the office before 5 p.m. on the 11th?
That is correct.
Okay.
So mail it well in advance.
And so there's also been a little bit of a discussion about what would happen if, there are lots of conversation around taxes and the bond and this Career Academy and funding. These things are necessary for that plan to proceed. What happens to my taxes if this doesn't?
Well, if you own property on an average house of about $150,000, I think that your property taxes would go down to about $62 a year, which when you figure that out by month, it's kind of like going to a coffee shop and having a latte or two.
Yeah.
So that's how much you would save. I think that for a lot of people, though I do know that some people are in very strict budget, and I appreciate that, and I hope that they still would consider this. But for most people, I think that we don't even think very much about spending some money for coffee.
As you said, it's about a coffee a month. I
Yeah,
think.
a coffee or two.
So when it does pass, or if it does pass, I should say, will I see a change in the rate? Will property owners see a change in the rate of their taxes?
No, unless for some unforeseen reason we had the economy dip again and property values went down, then you would see an increase in the rate, probably not so much the amount. But that's unlikely. That's only happened twice in like the last, I don't know, 30, 40 years.
I think while it's in a slow recovery, our economy is in a recovery mode.
Oh, we're very healthy here economically in Lincoln. Unemployment continues to decrease. We have a lot of new development downtown. It seems like more jobs are coming to our community. We have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the country.
Yeah, it sounds good. So a vote yes will give us career academies, more security, technology improvements, 2 new buildings, and heating and air quality issues in almost every school. Every school in the district will be touched.
Yes, and the Career Academy is a new building as well that we're doing in partnership with Southeast Community College.
And no real change to my current contributions to the school board.
Yeah, it's kind of a good deal,
kind of
don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah, it's nice when you don't have to, bust the budget to do that.
Well, Barb, I'm sorry we're out of time for today. I appreciate you coming by. Would you please consider coming back again and talking some more with us about this?
Oh, I'd love to.
That sounds exciting. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Well, we thank you for tuning in to another edition, tongue-tied, of the Watchful Citizen, a local cable access program brought to you by the Lancaster County Democratic Party. My name is Benny Shob. I'm your host, and we've had on set today Barb Baier, school board member and representative for District 3.
Yeah, Sub-District 3.
And our program airs on Time Warner Cable Access. It can be seen on Tuesday evenings at 10:30, Wednesdays at 6 p.m., and Saturdays at 12:30 p.m. Please tune in and join us again for another edition of the Watchful Citizen.